Beware of spoilers. The following podcast discusses Star Trek Into Darkness in detail. Podcasting, the final frontier. These are the recordings of Vassals of Kingsgrave. Its mission to explore new topics, to seek out new discussions, to boldly go where no podcast has gone before.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Vassals and Kingsgrave. This is our Star Trek Into the Darkness review podcast. It's the sequel to the prequel. I'm Vikram. I go by as 42 in the forums, and with me is Beena 007. Hi Beena, how are you?
Very well. How are you doing?
Excellent, excellent. Hey, aren't you involved with the London meetup thing? Aren't you one of the organizers for it?
Yeah. So that's super exciting. It's happening a week today, next Saturday. It's
Next
at my
Saturday.
house, and I'm making
Wow.
all the Feast of Ice and Fire food. And then already the forums coming, and Jedi White Heart's coming, and hopefully some others. So we're going to
Excellent.
watch the Red Wedding episode, eat some hearty King's Landing food, and drink some Tyroshi pear brandy, and should get pretty messy, I hope.
Sounds pretty fun, and we are all jealous for missing out. Okay, so go on to the review of the movie. Let's get your Star Trek credentials.
I have
uh,
no Star Trek credentials.
oh yeah.
Which is
No, no.
awesome, but I have as many Star Trek credentials as J.J. Abrams because he is a self-confessed Star Wars fan. And I think for all of us as kids, you went one way or the other, and I was
Mhm.
definitely Star Wars. So I didn't
Uh,
really watch the TV series deliberately, but it was kind of on in the background. So,
I see.
these guys are cultural icons. But I did watch the movies because I'm a huge
Mm-hmm.
fan. So that's where I come to it from. But, I came to Star Trek very much kind of a skeptic to its optimism and
Yeah.
it's not my style. And I think if you're sort of a Song of Ice and Fire fan, I guess that kind of shiny utopian optimism of Star Trek's a little bit weird. But
Mm-hmm.
I've enjoyed the remakes, but I guess we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good enough. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't claim myself to be a Trekkie either. I just watch whatever I find fun. I haven't even watched like the entire Next Generation through thoroughly. I just probably went through it once. Voyager is like my main favorite series, which I went through a couple of times. But otherwise, Star Trek is just another sci-fi thing. It's if you ask me, you're going to a desert island and you can take Stargate, Star Trek, or Star Wars, I would be totally confused. Wouldn't know which side to lean on to.
But you watched the original movies, right? Or have you seen the original
Um,
one?
I think I remember seeing the original movies, but the ones that are kind of stuck in my mind are, of course, Wrath of Khan, Star Trek, First Contact, things like that. I couldn't quote you any dialogues from Star Trek New Country or anything like that.
Yeah, but at least you know the title, which is more than me, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So let's get started with the reviews for the movies, the lemon cake reviews. So Amin on Twitter gave it 3.5 lemon cakes. Rotten Tomatoes average lemon cake score came up to 3.75. What's your lemon cake rating for this movie, Bina?
I think my kind of walking out of the cinema lemon cake rating probably would have been, I don't know, 4 or 4.5, because I had a great time and I would have just
Mm-hmm.
stopped at half a point for its blatant misogyny in one particular scene, which we can get into. But I think it's one of those movies that, when you really sit and think about it and think about the plot, you have to bring it down to a 3 because it just makes no sense. But
Oh
unless
wow.
maybe you can explain it to me and it's going to make lots of sense. But it looks fab and it's great. So somewhere between 3 and 4, depending on how generous I am.
Wow, I feel exactly the same way. I mean, if you ask me the day I watched the movie, I would have given it the 5, and even I've claimed the
Wow.
best movie of the summer. But doing research for this podcast, going and reading other reviews and seeing what the main issues people are having, I can't help but agree with them. And now my lemon score for this movie is like 3-2. It's 3, but I would definitely urge people to go watch it because it is definitely a very fun movie. But yeah, this movie is not going to keep over time. It's going to have a very short shelf life.
But it's really, really interesting to see, right? Because I feel like the original Wrath of Khan, which I did watch like semi recently on TV,
Mm-hmm.
like on reruns, I feel that does hold up.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be
definitely.
interesting to see if this one does, just based on the acting and like the emotional stuff, regardless of the plot. But I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean that's my first point for discussion. Would you call this a remake? I mean, just having Khan in the movie doesn't make it a Wrath of Khan remake, but would you call this a remake?
Is it a remake? I mean, I feel that it's definitely an homage. I mean, insofar as there are certain scenes, like the opening scene, the scene at the end where one of them's trapped inside the radiation lock, where
Mm-hmm,
it's
exactly.
very clearly a parallel scene that they might have made a twist on it,
Mm-hmm.
but they've definitely, obviously, they have reverence for that movie and they're
Yeah.
trying to translate it. So yeah, to me it is. It is a remake. It's a reimagining of that same, sometimes scene for scene. So
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's one of my main gripes for the movie is, I mean, as I was watching the movie, yeah, sure it has Khan in it, but that doesn't make it Wrath of Khan. And as the movie was going on, Admiral Robocop was the villain for most of the movie. And at one point, Khan and Kirk teamed up to fight against him. So I was like, huh, this is interesting. So in this alternate universe, they could have been friends. And I thought, it's one of those questions you always ask, hey, if we met in another life, would you think we'd be friends or something? So
yeah.
I thought this movie was going in that direction, but bam, they revert back to the original plot, and we get the Kirk dying in the warp core thing, and then Spock yelling Khan, and it ended up like, and they even have Carol Marcus in this movie. She was the one who developed the Genesis device. Here she's the warp core, no, sorry, the photon torpedo expert in this
Yeah, yeah.
movie. So with all those nods, with all those fan services, I can't help but think this is Wrath of Khan 2.0. And that kind of is one of my gripes about this movie. Shouldn't they be going boldly where no one has gone before? Why are we visiting the same thing
You know
again?
what? I have some sympathy with them because I think, you know, when you're tackling something like Star Trek that has like this massively rabid fan base, maybe the
Hmm.
first ever TV fan base in the modern sense of how we understand it with conventions and whatnot and forums, and they kind of invented what we think of as modern, pop culture fandom. I mean, they have this impossible task. They've got to sell it to this whole new generation who doesn't have a clue what the prime directive is, like me,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then you have to sort of still not piss off like all the people that are the major fans. So I kind of think it's neat. I think this idea of having this parallel universe, I mean, I think it's you can either
Hmm.
view it as this really elegant storytelling screenwriting thing, or you can see it as a cop out, but I love it. The only part of it that slightly irks me is that in every movie, kind of like alternate future Spock turns up and gives everyone the clues, like this.
Yeah, the Spock scene kind of annoyed me because until that point, I didn't think. I mean, I just recently watched Space Seed again, which is the first time they introduced Khan, and he was an ambitious guy, and they were comparing him to Napoleon. They didn't compare him to Hitler. He wasn't on a genocidal rampage to. He wasn't killing inferior people. He just wanted to rule them.
Oh,
With
so
that
that's
in
okay.
mind,
I don't want
yeah.
to kill you. I just want to rule you in a totalitarian dictatorship. That's okay.
Well, he was a Napoleon, not a Hitler, and then the Spock scene where the old Spock scene where he's the most dangerous enemy we met. You have to kill him. You have to destroy him. That kind of came out of nowhere for me. Yeah, I felt if that scene did not happen, would they have gotten along? Would Kirk not backstab him?
Yeah,
And
but bear in mind, okay, so but you're making the case for Khan that Khan's actually a nice guy, right? Is that your basic?
oh yeah,
Because
apart from being a terrorist, he's a totally nice guy.
apart from like totally blowing up a bunch of like Starfleet peeps at the opening of the movie, Army and all sorts of other
Yeah,
nefarious
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, he's totally awesome.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I mean, he did kill Admiral Pike, so yeah, there's no way they could have gotten along. So, okay, okay,
I don't
I
think Hitler
give
should
them
be our
that.
benchmark for whether because like no one's as bad of a guy as Hitler. I think
Yeah,
we need to lower the benchmark.
right. Yeah, that's true.
And I also
Uh,
felt that Khan, for me, what I love about Khan in this film is the way Benedict Cumberbatch plays him. You always feel that he's operating way below potential. Like he could
mhm.
unleash horrible stuff beyond what he's doing. Like he's containing himself in order to deal with this idiot Kirk who's not quite getting it. Like I have to lead this infant through my maze of what I need him to sort of, discover. So
Does it? I mean, okay. So let's talk about the plot first, because I have major issues with the plot. And instead of me reading out my own written summary of the plot, I have this audio clip. It's from Half in the Bag's review of the movie, and I thought they did a very good job. So let me play the clip here for you.
Rich Evans, what was the plot of this movie, other than Khan wants revenge?
The plot of
Go
the
in
movie.
detail, chronologically.
The plot of the movie is terrorist blows up a building as an excuse to assassinate a bunch of Starfleet captains, as a pretext to send Kirk on a mission to assassinate him so they could shoot missiles at him, but the missiles have frozen people in them for some reason.
Well, what Admiral Marcus didn't know they were inside the
He
missiles.
did not know because a terrorist man put the people in the missiles.
Yes.
So he can surrender to the Enterprise and reveal he's Khan, so that the Admiral can show up and shoot at the Enterprise, so that Kirk and Khan can team up to shoot people, so that Khan can betray Kirk, so that Spock can trick Khan into putting missiles with people on them on the ship to blow up, so that Enterprise can crash and blow up and then fight.
Yes, and so they found Khan floating on a ship. I guess they somehow knew they were superhumans. I guess. So they wake up they just wake up Khan.
Coincidentally, it happens to be Khan.
Coincidentally, it happens to be Khan. They wake up Khan and say, Khan, you are a smart Superman. I guess you also know how to build an incredibly advanced starship.
Because, with your knowledge of technology that's 300 years old, I can't think of a more perfect person to build a modern-day super ship.
Yes. You have a superior intellect, so build us a super ship and a whole bunch of super missiles.
Okay, so that's the clip from Half in the Bag. You guys can find them on YouTube, and they are pretty good. I really like their reviews for the movies. They're usually on the critical side. They're usually the glass half full kind of guys. So I think they did a good job. But go check it out for yourself. So yeah, I mean, those guys definitely exaggerated things a bit. But the plot is definitely very silly, very.
yeah, I mean, it seemed to me that the plot was kind of bizarre. It was almost like they were these kind of Prometheus-y kind of spooky horror bits, like when they sort of, which is definitely Lindelof, right? That's Damon Lindelof. When
Mm-hmm.
You realize there are human cryogenically frozen peeps inside the missiles, and you're like, what?
Exactly, that didn't make any sense at all.
It's meant to be. What's that about? And then it just all seems like way too convoluted. And then
Yeah.
and also, like, because he seems to want to basically, like, what is the motivation of Khan in this film? Apart from the fact that he, like, kind of is a Superman, Ubermensch, and he wants to basically rule all these, like, ridiculous underlings, ultimately, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
in some abstract way. But basically, his whole motivation in this movie is to expose the nefarious goings on of Starfleet as basically trying to trigger a preemptive war against the Klingons. Is that not Klingons?
They're
Yeah.
exactly the Klingons.
Exactly. So, but there's got to be easier ways to expose. I'm just like a very lazy person, in my life, and I always think that, when I watch like the latest Bond movie where he, this evil bad guy wants to enact revenge on M, like, just you're a sniper, go kill her. Why do you kill her?
Why come up with this elaborate plan? Yeah, elaborate plan where he gets himself captured and all that, which also happens in this movie too. So
It just reminds me at some point of Austin Powers, it's just like needlessly convoluted,
Yeah.
and it's basically just a vehicle to have, cool action set pieces, and also to have this bizarrely kind of heavy-handed sort of war on Iraq kind of, Admiral Marcus is this sort of Donald Rumsfeld figure or whatever. I don't know. It just struck as quite heavy-handed.
Oh wow. Yeah, I can't even talk about the plot. But you're right, it's a popcorn movie. Let's suspension of disbelief on.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think maybe we're all being too harsh on it because at the time it's just so much fun. And the whole point of why this movie works, I think, for people like me who aren't big Star Trek fans or even, sci-fi fans necessarily, it works because we believe in the relationships and we love the love antagonism relationship between Spock and Kirk. We want them to win. And that's what matters. That's what sells it. That's why I can say whatever I want to say about the plot, but I'm definitely going to watch Star Trek 3 because I want to see what happens to Kirk and Spock. That's the basic, takeaway.
Very true. So, okay, let's see how do you feel about the fan service and the nods that are throughout the movie? I mean, this movie has really a lot of them. Do you find them as cheap trick, or how do you feel about them?
I just think they have to do it, right? So, and isn't it fun? I mean, even for me as a non-fan, like no matter how objectionable I find the whole Spock just giving them all the answers thing, it's kind of cool. The first time you see him on screen, it's like, oh, it's Leonard Nimoy. How cool is that? And I watched it like opening day in London in the biggest cinema we have, which is Leicester Square. It's like the premier cinema in London. And it was the packed screening and it was full of all the fans. And I went with a friend of mine who's a super fan, so he'd gotten the tickets. And, when he's on screen and you hear that, that gasp from the audience, I mean, that's fun. And you just have to go with it. And the rest of the shipping and the fan service, I mean, I didn't notice a lot of it, I guess, because I'm not a super fan, but it's got to be there.
Yeah, I mean, this one of my gripes with James Bond is exactly that. In every James Bond movie, he has to have his martini, and there's supposed to be a car with weapons in it. The James Bond cliches, and they are like so superficial, and that's where I developed a dislike to the fan service things they do in these movies. But in this movie, even though how poor the plot is, I felt the fan service were organic to the plot. So I didn't mind it here. But
exactly, it's elegant. It's done with a sophistication that it isn't done with in James Bond, and perhaps in Game of Thrones, even like in the TV show.
Right.
I feel sometimes the fan service there is kind of pretty clumsy in a way.
Yeah. It's just there, it's just to distract the fans so they don't complain that week or something.
Yeah, it's like, we totally messed up the character of Jon Snow, but hey, look, let's have a minor character. You're happy now, aren't you? Hey, we read the books. Gotcha. It's all okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to bring up was race bending. I didn't notice this. I completely forgot that Khan was actually an Indian in the original. Well, it's played by Ricardo Montalban, who's a Mexican actor, but the character, Khan Noori Singh, is an Indian. And I actually forgot all about it until I saw Amin's tweet about it. And I said, oh yeah, Khan's supposed to be an Indian, right?
Okay, so this like totally blew my mind. Like when Khan first appears in the TV show, is he played by an Indian guy?
No, it's again Ricardo Montalban,
okay.
however you say it. It's a Mexican actor, but he's supposed to be a Sikh in the thing.
Okay. Well, that's evidently, nonsense. I mean, like the thing is, like in general, I don't mind about people respecting the kind of the race of the character they're playing. I go with it, but as long as they're a good enough actor and they can bring some kind of truth to the part. I mean, I don't know how you guys kind of perceive this in the US watching it, but the British people, Benedict Cumberbatch is by far the biggest actor in this movie because he's huge in the UK.
I see.
He's played Sherlock. He's done the remake of Sherlock, which was massive. It was a huge BBC pop cultural hit.
Yeah,
like
I've
way
seen.
I've
I've only seen the season 1 of it. I still haven't got to season 2 yet. Yeah, but it is a very good show.
That's another VOK podcast waiting to happen, isn't it? But yeah, so he's like absolutely massive here. He's much more famous than Zachary Quinto or Chris Pine. So we're just happy to see him on screen. I wouldn't want any other actor.
Yeah, you guys also have Scott Pegg in it, right? I mean, how big is he in UK?
Oh, yeah, he's huge, but he's huge in a different way. Like he's
A comedy actor mostly.
Yeah, and really famous. I guess Shaun of the Dead was his breakout hit, but he had like a bunch of TV shows before then. Maybe a little less famous now because when you go to Hollywood and start making movies, you're on our screens much less frequently.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
he's a bit more distanced and a bit more yesterday's star, whereas
Okay.
Benedict Cumberbatch
Is the
he's
rising
just on
star.
TV all the time.
Oh, I
He's
see.
like he's this kind of like guy that all the girls really fancy, even though he's not conventionally good looking. And of course he appears in Star Trek, right? So we're used to him in Sherlock being all kind of like scraggy and scrawny and thin and whatnot. And then he turns up in Star Trek and he's like totally buff. And then we discover that J.J. Abrams shot a scene of him in the shower and didn't put him in the movie, which is obviously very distressing for us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I right. I'm not angry about the gender bending. I mean, sorry, race bending. I mean,
that would have been cool,
I would
Consul.
have been cool. I make Sulu a girl or something, or Chekhov or something. It has just too many guys in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I'm not too. I mean, I'm not too sad. I'm sad about the race bending mostly because it's just there aren't too many people from Indian subcontinent or from South Asia in the Star Trek universe, and here was just one guy, and they replaced him, and it's just sad, Just the only Indian character in this universe is gone.
But they would be free, I guess, to go the other way, right? They could take another character and then make it an Indian actor. Like,
Definitely,
I
yeah.
mean, my point was I just like literally came out of watching Gatsby, a few days after watching Star Trek, and I was quite shocked to see Amitabh Bachchan, who's this like mega Bollywood star, Indian star, playing Maya Wolfsheim, right? And they
Exactly.
didn't change the name, so suddenly this like Jewish gangster's become this like Bollywood star. But that makes me happy because I love seeing those
Yeah.
on it. That just it makes it fresh when you're doing remakes. And if Ricardo Montalban can play original Khan, I feel we're in the spirit of the original to have someone of a completely
Mhm.
different ethnicity play Khan.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out that Amitabh Bachchan was in the Great Gatsby, and that definitely made me feel a lot better.
But
So,
who would have been your fantasy casting if you could have taken any like modern Bollywood actor? Who would you have had playing Khan? Like Amir Khan?
it's been a while since I've watched a Bollywood movie, so the actors I can think of are way old. Like I can think of like Amrish Puri or somebody.
Oh, blimey.
But unfortunately,
Less buff than flabby. But there you go. Still
yeah,
scary.
yeah, it's sad, but didn't want them to force somebody in. Definitely, yeah, Cabbage Patch is definitely a much better actor, and no
Did you
grudge
just call him
about.
Cabbage Patch?
Don't make my
That's hilarious. Cabbage Patch Doll.
don't make fun of my Indian accent. That's how we say it in India, Cabbage Patch.
There you go. There's a whole controversy in England because his fangirls were calling themselves Cumber bitches.
Oh no.
And he really objected to this. He was like, please don't call yourself that. You're Cumber people.
Couple of people.
So earnest. You've got to love him for that. Brilliant.
Okay, so have you watched Iron Man 3?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so a bit spoiler warning for people who haven't watched. We're going to spend for 5 minutes talking about Iron Man 3, because the way they reveal the villain is different, and we just wanted to talk about which one's better. So in Iron Man 3, we see it in the trailers. Ben Knightley is playing
No,
Mandarin.
Kingsley.
Kingsley's right, okay.
Yeah, Kingsley. And you have to call him Sir Ben
Oh,
Kingsley.
Sir Ben.
He's really like uptight about people using his title
Oh.
in a really, really like sad, pathetic, everyone has to mock it way.
So in Iron Man 3, in all the trailers we see, Ben Kingsley plays the Mandarin. But during the movie, it's revealed that Ben Kingsley is actually an actor who's playing Mandarin, and the real Mandarin is somebody else. So basically, they reveal a big guy to be nobody. And in Star Trek, they reveal that James Harrison or John Harrison. Crap,
John Harrison?
John Harrison. I should do my research. John Harrison is Khan. So they revealed a nobody to be a big buddy. Which do you prefer? Which reveal was better for you?
I mean, I think the whole John Harrison as Khan thing was so weak, like trying to
Exactly.
get hype, and like everybody knew within like a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of semi-weak. I think the whole the thing in Iron Man 3 was brilliant, and to me that just reflects the fact that the guy who directed Iron Man 3, Shane Black, he wrote the Lethal Weapon movies. He's just like way clever and he's
Yeah.
mischievous.
Yeah.
So to take this like Marvel's biggest grossing franchise and say, you know what, I'm just gonna this very serious, very earnest franchise, I'm gonna take the concept of the evil villain and just totally mess with it. I think that's brilliant. That's just genius. That just has balls. I mean, that you've got to have nuts of steel for that.
Exactly.
So
I've seen
I love it.
reviewers do praise both. I've seen reviewers praise the Khan reveal to the Iron Man 3 reveal, and I've seen reviewers praise the Iron Man 3 reveal to the Khan reveal, and I, like you, prefer the Iron Man 3 reveal compared to Khan. That entire thing was so not necessary. I mean, I can't really talk to people without spoiling to them that the villain in this movie is Khan, and I hate that, you know. I should be able to freely talk to people saying, hey, and I don't understand why they kept it a secret. Wouldn't more people go see the movie if they knew that Khan was in it versus some James Harrison, some random Starship pilot? Yeah, I didn't understand this at all.
Or just like even from a plot point of view, like just pose the counterfactual. If you knew from the start that John Harrison was Khan, would it take anything away from the issues the movie is exploring, the action sequences, the emotional tension between Kirk and Spock and Uhura? I mean, it doesn't really take anything away to know he's Khan from the beginning,
Yeah,
so why worry? I mean,
yeah.
the real tension is understanding why he's doing what he's doing, insofar as he's actually trying to show the good guys in Starfleet something that's happening that's bad. And the real tension is, I mean, what is the real tension in that plot? Is Kirk and Spock gonna survive? Well, evidently they are because it's a prequel.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
know.
the minute they were using his magic blood on everything, oh, use the magic blood to save this kid, use the magic blood to save this travel thing. I don't know how a human blood can help a alien creature, but
Yeah,
it worked
that was
on it.
freaking weak, wasn't it? I mean, that to me was like when Laura was Roslin in BSG gets saved by the Cylon baby blood in utero stuff. That was just like the weakest Deus Ex Machina ever, and that's just like pathetic. It's
So I don't know how this is going to screw up the Star Trek universe. So basically, they've discovered a cure for that now. Then, I mean, they can go and revive everybody back now. They can go and revive Admiral Pike back or something. So I don't know what they're going
yeah.
to do with that.
So it doesn't even matter if people come and invade your planet because you have
hmm
like these cyber people who are
Yeah, just hook him up. Just hook Cumberpatch onto something and just siphon his blood day and night, and you're
So
good to go.
why are we expecting the mythos of anything that's written by the guy who wrote Lost to actually make any sense?
Yeah, I kind of am also blaming it on Lindoff for this.
Yeah, exactly. He's my go-to man for
Yeah,
blame.
yeah. Well, I'm so glad that he's not involved with the Star Wars project now because he's got other bunch of things going on. So that's a big relief that we're not going to see Lindelof mess with Star Wars.
Yeah, but we don't know that. I mean, he's also a massive rewrite guy. And it's J.J. Abrams directing, so he could easily pass the scripts to Lindelof. I mean, I just wouldn't. But then again, can the scripts get worse than scripts written by George Lucas at the kind of dialogue level? And I love Star Wars, right? I love Star Wars, but we have to admit that some of that dialogue's pretty wooden.
Oh no, no, the prequels are. Oh, well, no, let's not even talk about that.
Yeah, they don't. I exist in an alternate universe where Spock gives me advice and where the prequels don't exist. That's my personal parallel universe.
Okay, let's talk about the acting in this movie. So how do you feel about the acting? How did Kirk do? How did Zachary Quinto do? And how did Cumberbatch do?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think this is a fine cast, and I'm not surprised that Benedict Cumberbatch is good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised that Zachary Quinto is good because I think he is amazing. I've seen him in lots of stuff. He's great in American Horror Story. I think what's interesting is Chris Pine, who's this kind of always done these kind of like really cheesy rom-com type roles with poor scripts. Actually, he can be a little bit meat-headed, but that's the role of Kirk, and I think he brings a great deal of charm to it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I want to see him do well, so that works. So I'm pretty happy with it overall. I think given that they're in fundamentally ridiculous circumstances, the fact that they actually bring such a real emotional heft to it I think is a bit of a miracle, really.
Definitely, the actors did a wonderful job with this, and Cumberbatch. I mean, he's really good. Kind of reminds me of Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman has always been one of my favorite villains, like from Die Hard
Yeah, he's
movies,
awesome.
and his Snape. He played a good guy. That's probably why I don't like his Snape much. But he's an awesome actor, and Cumberbatch just reminds me him so much. I mean, his voice and his features and everything. So I'm glad that we have Alan Rickman 2.0 here.
But the amazing thing about Cumberbatch is you can see him he does this like quite semi-famous radio show on the BBC, which is a comedy, like a very broad slapstick comedy type thing.
Mm,
And he's hilarious in that, so he obviously has range.
I see. Okay. So what all things has he done? I mean, I only know him from the Sherlock Holmes, of course, and then that he's now the voice of he's now the voice of the dragon in The Hobbit. What else has he done?
So he started off doing like more art house type stuff on the BBC. So there was an amazing TV thing about Stephen Hawking where he played the young Hawking falling into illness, which
I see.
won a lot of awards,
Oh wow. Okay.
which is definitely, I can't remember the name, but it's definitely worth checking out.
I see. Okay.
And then what else did he do? He's done some costume drama. I mean, actually, for US people, he's probably most famous for playing the really creepy guy in Atonement.
Oh, I see.
Who, really a small and very creepy role there. But he's more famous for doing stuff in the theatre here. So there was an
Oh, I see.
amazing production of Frankenstein that was directed by Danny Boyle, kind of before he did the Olympic ceremony. And it starred, ironically, here you go. So it starred Benedict Cumberbatch, but it also starred the guy who plays Sherlock in Elementary, whose name I now forget. Johnny Miller. There you go.
Okay.
And
Okay.
each night they alternated roles. So one night one of them would play Victor Frankenstein, and one night and the other guy would play the monster, and then they would alternate every other night. So you could go and watch it twice and see different interpretations. And it was really amazing. It was like the steampunk version of Frankenstein. It was really awesome. So yeah, he's super famous, Harry. He's a big star.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, excellent.
Sorry, that's my little like sort of awe-inspired fan.
No, it's definitely good for us to know. I think somebody joked that Benedict Cumberbatch is a guy nobody heard of a year ago, and now everybody claims to be one of his big fans.
Yeah,
So,
but we
that's
have
how.
that.
It's like a year ago didn't even know him. I mean, I watched Sherlock Holmes. I didn't even know it was him.
Really? Yeah, 'cause he's
Yeah.
so skinny in that, right? And he's got
Yeah.
the
And now he can't. Now he's everywhere. So let's see. You really like the starting one of the starting sequences, right? Completely dialogue-free prologue where the
yeah.
Starfleet guy.
Yeah, so to me, so the actor who's also in Doctor Who, but in England he's really famous as he's a rap musician. He has directed little grungy little sort of inner city movies in the UK.
I see.
And he's Noel Clarke, and he's kind of quite a pugnacious character. And then to see him turn up in the prologue in a very mature role, a very quiet, literally quiet role, where he's got to express everything, all the emotion that his daughter's dying, that he's going to do this really heinous thing, but in order to save his kid.
Mhm.
And then you realize that he's going to die. He's sacrificing himself to do this. And it's all without dialogue. I mean, I thought it was beautifully written, a beautiful sort of moment of quiet and profundity before this quite popcorn action movie.
Yeah.
And he kind of impressed me because it's just not a role I would have thought of him for and thought to cast him for, because he always plays these kind of like, mini Snoop Dogg wannabe gangster types, who come from kind of some almost a bit kind of pastiche Ali G. They come from the suburb of London that has like zero gun crime, and yet they think they're in Compton and they're all hard work, I mean, I've always thought of him as a slightly very ambitious and talented but slightly laughable character, and then he turns up actually very powerful, tiny role, but quite powerful. So
Exactly. I mean, I only knew him from Doctor Who's where he played Mickey, one of the Doctor's companion's boyfriend. That's long, and definitely was nice to see him again, and definitely very good acting from him. What else? So did you see it in IMAX 3D or just regular movie?
So I saw it in IMAX 3D.
I see. Okay.
So actually, no, that's a lie. I saw it in regular 3D. But the thing
Okay.
is, I saw the first 20 minutes of it was shown just after Christmas to a bunch of kind of bloggers and press in an IMAX theater. So I saw that
Mm.
bit a long time ago in IMAX.
Oh wow. Okay. And how
So,
was
but
it? Because it's a post-converted 3D. Like unlike Avatar, this movie was shot in 2D and later on converted to 3D. Did it come out well? Was it worth watching it in 3D?
yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a 3D skeptic because I think it just tends to darken everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's very few movies where, I mean, Avatar being the classic example, right, where it's really it's beautiful in 3D. For me, all that the 3D did was it made the lens flare that J.J. Abrams loves doing just really obvious because it's like hitting me on the eyes. Like, Jesus, guys, just focus your camera already. You know, you have access. This is like a big budget movie. You have access to some of the best cinematographers. I mean, I know that this is your directorial style, but not 3D. Mate. But I respect the fact that he said very clearly that he wanted to shoot the best possible 2D movie, and then if they wanted to put 3D on top, that was cool with him. But I respect that.
Okay, I have a funny quote here from a reviewer from New York Post, and it goes, Abram shoots something like 90% of his film in close-ups. After watching this in IMAX, I feel like I know every pore on Chris Pine's face personally.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just watched it in regular movie, no 3D, no IMAX, and it was good. I didn't feel like I was missing out anything. And I don't like 3D. I don't go watch it unless I have to. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, the one thing I would say in defense of 3D is, or as a choice for this movie, is that it is a movie, and I get the impression that Star Trek in general is a movie that delights in the shininess of surface
Mm-hmm.
and the beauty and the wonder of space travel in a way that, you watch Star Wars, you watch Battlestar Galactica, it's all about rusty ships and stuff that doesn't quite work. And, whereas there's something awe-inspiring about how beautiful everything looks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, so some of the simple things they have done, like really when a ship goes to warp, how it's stretched, and then there's this big cannon blast kind of thing
it's
happens,
awesome.
and then during the ship-to-ship fight, as the lasers be being fired on, and there's huge explosions and everything, those were really good. I really can't wait to see Abrams' Star Wars because that's gonna have like 10 times more action, hopefully, than
Yeah.
this if you can, and it's just gonna look so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Couldn't agree
Special
more.
effects wise, this movie was brilliant.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think it just watching this movie just makes me want to see Star Wars now. I
Yeah.
actually want to see the next Star Wars movie almost as much as I want to read The Winds of Winter. And if Spock came down from the future and gave me the choice of flipping into a parallel universe and just seeing one or the other of those two, like tonight now when this podcast ends, I really don't know which one I'd pick because I'm that excited now about Star Wars. And I wasn't that excited before watching this film, but it just reminded me of how good it could possibly be to get StarArs done by someone who cares about it more than George apparently does, because as we all know, Greedo hand shot first, and also someone who knows how to direct and who knows how to write. I think it could be awesome.
Yeah. If the gripe I have with this movie is basically with the plot and the script of it. If J.J. Abrams gets a good script, I think he can put out something wonderful. And I don't know much about. It's Michael Ardent, right? The guy who's writing the screenplay for Star Wars.
You would know better than me, probably.
Yeah, and I've the only credential of his I know is he did Toy Story 3. So I don't know
Yeah.
how that goes, but people say he's a very gifted screenplay writer, so let's hope he comes up with something good.
Well, I mean, Toy Story. I mean, this is a classic Star Wars versus Toy Story argument, which is the greatest trilogy in film history. And even we Star Wars fans have to admit Return of the Jedi was pretty pants. And and so many great trilogies have the weak third, the weak
Oh
third act.
yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
Toy Story, you could argue, is just consistently amazing all the way through.
Oh yeah.
And yet another saga about fathers and sons. So I can see the thematic parallel.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's why Iron Man 3 is such a good movie because I think Iron Man 3 is better than 1 and 2 and that's such a hard thing to pull off. Did you think Iron Man 3 was better than the first two?
I'm trying to think. I loved one. I think two
Mhm.
was a little bit weak. I loved
Yeah,
three,
yeah.
but they were all good. I mean, I think again, actually, you could
Hmm.
make an argument that Iron Man is one of the great franchises, and I think the fact that it survives Gwyneth Paltrow, oh, bitchy comments, and still survive. Actually, no, the one thing I'm going to say about Iron Man 3 is a movie that has this secretary, Pepper Potts, like become a heroine by donning the Iron Man suit and being all like kick ass at the end and
Uh-huh.
rescuing her friend and whatnot. And yet and yet Star Trek is a movie that takes a nuclear scientist and reduces her to being in her underwear for posters. Great.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly the next thing we had in our show notes. Yeah, so you don't feel good about the PhD in underwear.
I mean, like, I've got no problem with like ludicrous quantities of like, massively, gratuitous nudity at all. I mean, far be it for me to come off as a prude, but I just thought it was a bit sad that in this earnest utopian movie, it was just a little bit cheap. It's kind of like the advertising in Casino Royale. Oh, is that an
It's
omega you're wearing? You know,
it's
yeah, it was
definitely
very cheap.
very out of place, right? I mean, why was she changing clothes in the first place? But
And
yeah.
look away, Kirk, but all the other millions of you watching, look on, you know.
Well, I basically gave it one whole lemon cake because of that scene, but I agree, it's like totally
What did you give it a
pointless.
positive lemon cake for that scene?
Yeah, otherwise it would have been a two.
That's brilliant. Well, in that case, it's done what it was meant to do, I guess.
Let's talk about this. So, Carol Marcus' character, was she needed in this movie? I feel like they could have easily written around her, right? We don't really needed her in this movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, and also like the other thing that completely freaked me out is why does Admiral Marcus, he has a West Coast accent, have a daughter? He has like a like the poshest English accent on the face of the planet. He just happens to be a nuclear physicist or whatever she is, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But then, I came out of the movie and I was like all bouncing up and down and saying this is awesome. But that one scene was obviously slightly stupid. And then my friend, who's a massive Star Trek fan, was like, "But this is very much in the DNA of Star Trek that you always had these kind of slightly dodgy, kind of quasi misogynistic. Every time Kirk goes to a planet, there's some sexy little like alien woman in a tight fitting outfit or bikini slash type thing." And that it's very equivalent to Princess Leia being in the bikini with Jabba the Hutt, and at least Alice Eve, who plays Carol Marcus, is like much fitter. So
Right, right.
I'm willing to go if that's part of the Star Trek DNA. Then who am I to say otherwise? But
Right. This is one of the nods thing because she was, or at least the character was in the original Wrath of Khan, and
in a bikini.
no, I think she was. Yeah, she was played by like a 50-year-old woman. So no.
Oh, I see. There you go.
Yeah. So, and as I was writing the summary for this movie, just to keep it in my head, not to forget, I completely skipped her out. There's no need for her in this thing. They could have come up with some other reason to convince Admiral Robocop to stop firing on the ship. So, yeah,
So
yeah.
Carol Marcus is like the Roz of Star Trek.
Yeah, she's the Ross of Star Trek.
Totally unnecessary, but just there to get her kiss off. Perfect. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
But does that
Let's.
mean so does this mean that in future Star Trek movies, because unlike Roz, poor Roz, a moment of silence for Roz. So does this mean that because she doesn't die at the end, right? She's very much alive and like
Yeah,
flirting.
in Wrath of Khan we see her and we see her kid and her kid turns out to be Kirk's kid. So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
her being in this movie, they're just introducing her right now. So in the future movies they develop the love interest. I don't think they developed anything in this movie, right? I
So
mean,
she's going to be on Enterprise when they go off to boldly go and split infinitives and whatnot.
yeah,
She's on.
what do you think of it when they said, "Oh, we are going on this 5-year mission now"? That's how the movie ends. I didn't know what to take of it. Does this mean that there's not going to be a movie for 5 more years because there's not going to be a movie until they come back, or
No, I just get that the
yeah.
next movie is just the mission. So we've had the
Oh.
two kind of prequel movies,
Mhm.
and that the next, but this is like just could be complete nonsense. But
Right, because the original Star Trek, the original TV series happened during this five-year mission. So
yeah,
now it kind of meets up with the original Star Trek timeline. I mean, but it's not exactly the same because of Vulcan getting blown up. So yeah.
and Spock having a girlfriend. And also, I have to make a shout out for my friend who said Spock's fringe is not sufficiently lacquered. Spock's fringe should on his bangs. Sorry, I should translate for you US people. Spock's hair should on no account move, no matter how grueling the action scene. It should not move.
I didn't get that.
Or his product.
So
He
the
would.
second time I was I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, just
Yeah,
ranting about Spock's
but
hair.
basically I was keeping an eye because I didn't see this in the first time I watched it. So yesterday night when I was watching it again, I kept an eye for it, and you are totally right. Towards the end, during the hand-to-hand combat scene between Khan and Spock, yeah, his hair was all jumping, and his hair was being hair.
But you see, to me, the lesson I read from my friend's comment is that it's a good warning sign as fans of A Song of Ice and Fire that you should never get that extreme, because it's like people getting, oh, Dario's hair's not right, and whatever. Like, in a way, you can lose the bigger picture here. And obviously Zachary Quinto is a great actor. It's a great depiction of Spock, and the fact that he does not have enough hair product is not a deal breaker on this depiction of Spock. But anyway, I had to mention it because we spent more than some time discussing this, and then I kind of came up with my own geeky British objection, which is punctuation. People, Star Trek : into darkness.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, I thought the title was Star Trek Into the Darkness, and then oh wait a minute, there's no "the" in here.
Yeah, Star Trek Into Darkness, no colon. I mean, have some respect for the Queen's English, people.
Yeah. And actually J.J. Abrams in one of the interviews said that this movie definitely has a darker theme to it. And I'm like, somebody mail this guy a copy of Ice and Fire if he thinks this is dark.
Oh, you sweet summer child.
Sweet Thomas.
Dark. I mean, please. Yeah, he needs to spend some time with House Manwoody and realize how dark darkness gets.
Let's see. Anything else you want to discuss before
No,
we get into our games and stuff?
I think we I'm good. I expressed my grammatical and bikini rant and lack of hair product rant, so I'm all good.
Yeah. Okay. I just have one more point. So when Kirk was in the warp core chamber being irradiated and he was kicking the warp core into position, did anybody else think you raped her, you murdered her, and you killed her children?
No, I didn't, but now I forever
Yeah.
will when I watch it again. So thank you for that. That's great.
So you see, at the end of it, Kirk dies, but the Enterprise lives, just like Mountain and the Red Viper. Red Viper dies, but the Mountain lives.
Yeah. So who's the Quentin and the sort of the Master Kyburn? Is that kind of like Bones
Burns the Skyburn.
injecting weird like Cylon blood into peeps? I love it.
Oh, I got a couple of interesting quotes from other reviewers. New York Times calls it Star Trek is essentially the Office in space. It's dude,
The Office in space?
it's yeah,
No, especially not
no,
the
right?
British Office. But
Yeah, and the guy from Atlantic agrees too. He says less space opera, more soap opera.
yeah, but I mean that's just a cheap way of saying that they've actually paid attention to
Yeah,
emotions
yeah.
and having characters who care about each other and giving Spock a girlfriend. So
Yeah, this gets me. There's another guy from
it's just
Times
cheap.
Out. He calls it Christian Nolanization of Star Trek, and I'm like, if anything, it's Michael Bay as Bayization. Michael Bay of Star Trek. It's
Why does it have to be one or the other? I mean, can't it just be? That just annoys me. Cinema reviews annoy me. They really do.
okay. So yeah, let's we have nothing else to discuss, let's get started with our game. So it's a new game we wanted to try because most of the in the movie are guys, and I can't really do scorpions one night or stuff with that. So let's say make the connection, and it's we call out characters and we try and see how they fit into Game of Thrones universe.
So I don't get to do the snog, marry, avoid thing for the guys.
Oh, I basically only have Carol, Marcus, and Uhura.
Yeah, but those are two very fit women. I think most men, if they had, those two and their choices free, would be willing to play the game just to get this with someone. Okay,
Okay,
fine.
okay,
No,
let's
let
no
me
no
not
let's do it.
humanize. Let's move to a higher plane. You go with
No, I'm actually, my lawyers just called me up. I'm under contractual obligation from Amin to play the game. Otherwise, my certification will be revoked. Okay, so the game is marry one night or snakes and scorpions. But the snakes and scorpions are not for the other person, it's for you. So I would rather have snakes and scorpions on me, thrown at me, than be with them for one night.
You see,
So.
you're so lucky because there's only two chicks, so you have no snakes and scorpions. It's just one night and marry.
Yeah, but for the 7 other guys, I'm gonna be like snakes and scorpions.
Yeah, exactly. So you can just put all the men in that latter category.
Yeah, so let's do both of them. Let's call out a character and do snakes and scorpions, and then also kind of think of which house they would fit in.
Okay.
So, okay, let's start with Kirk. Snakes, scorpions, or one night.
I mean, he's just such an idiot, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
It'd have to be one night. It would have to be something it'd have to be totally meaningless.
Yeah, one night too. I don't think we can have anything longer than that because he's gonna fly off into space and get blown up or something. Uh,
Yeah.
okay,
But you'd be using a shadow condom because I think that guy's been through a lot of ports, a lot of girls and a lot of ports. Be safe, people. Public service announcement.
Yeah, and so let's do the house thing. So the characters he mostly reminds me of is Robert Baratheon or the Red Vipers.
He's an idiot. I mean, he's definitely Robert Baratheon pre all the drinking and going really downhill. Like basically, great physical fighter, charismatic guy, leader of men, but not that clever.
Exactly. Yeah, and loyal to his friends and everything. So yeah,
Yeah,
he's
just not.
definitely Baratheon then. Okay. Spock then. Marry one night or scorpions.
Interesting. Well, it wouldn't be one night. It's just too intellectually intense. I think probably marry. I mean, the genes are good. You can have bright kids, always
Mhm.
good, with impeccable hair. Uh, I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be really fascinating to see where J.J. Abrams takes the whole romance between Spock and Uhura. Like, how far can you really be in love or be loved by a guy who can't be irrational?
Yeah, they definitely played with that, and the common misunderstanding that happens between them. Like Uhura was pissed off that Spock did not think of her when he was going to die in the volcano, and then Spock says, "Hey, I was emotional in this because I didn't want to have fear or something, right?"
Oh, that was so
So
heartbreaking.
yeah, that was actually good.
Sorry, I took that on a whole profound, serious level there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary. I mean, Spock's gorgeous, right? He's just lovely, profoundly loyal, profoundly caring, sacrificing, intelligent. Always bails his like idiot kid brother Kirk out. He's
Wait,
awesome. He's like the Davos. He's just like such a decent guy. He's incapable of not speaking the truth, even when it just lands him in difficulty. Yeah.
he's definitely the Ned Stark to Kirk's Baratheon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a bit of like, subtext bromance going on between Ned and Bobby Baratheon then? Because I mean, that's definitely going on with Spock and Kirk, right? I mean, that's not just me.
Yeah, it's just the personalities are so far apart, and didn't they hate each other in the first movie, and then even in the start of this movie, as they were doing the entire volcano bit, they did not understand each other at all. So the friendship between them is definitely not explained well, I think. Well,
Yeah, I think by the end of the first movie, Spock and Kirk are down with each other. That the story of the first movie is them Spock realizing this obnoxious twat actually has some merit. So yeah.
definitely. Okay. Who else we have? Yeah, Khan. Marry one night. Scorpions.
God, I mean, like I'm trying to very hard separate the concept of Khan from Benedict Cumberbatch. Obviously, Benedict Cumberbatch, marry one night wherever I can get, frankly. Khan as a sort of ubermensch, homicidal terrorist guy, snakes. I have standards.
Yeah, let's see. So because I'm thinking of also Khan from the Star Trek, the original series, and also Khan, Wrath of Khan, and he's a very, a domineering character. That's what he does. He seduces one of the Starfleet officers in the original show to help him take over the ship, and so. Yeah, it's too dominating. So definitely, I'd rather have scorpions thrown at me.
I think the difference is like the Ricardo, because Ricardo Montalban is so like charming in a kind of slightly sleazy way. But
Mhm.
you can imagine Ricardo Montalban as Khan like seducing someone, like just putting the charm on and schmoozing away. Whereas
Yeah.
this Khan, like Benedict Cumberbatch Khan, is like all business all of the time.
Hmm.
He has no charisma or charm in that respect. So
Right.
yeah, not
Well,
interested.
who does he remind you of Game of Thrones characters?
I am of the night. I don't know. I mean, I mean, he loves
Dark
himself,
Star.
doesn't he? He loves himself, and he is like, I am into darkness and all that. I mean, but he's obviously much more intelligent than Darkstar.
Yeah. He's yeah, definitely Dark Star. I was gonna say Hound or something. Nah,
No,
no, definitely not. No, long is
no,
off. Yeah.
I love the Hound. I'm like Ashley, like you can't don't start comparing the Hound to
Oh,
me.
maybe the Mountain, right? Is he the Mountain?
But the Mountain's got no brains.
Yeah, that's true. Well, even this guy doesn't have brains. He put his people in torpedoes.
But is he like Qyburn then, like just doing weird genetic stuff?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay,
But
yeah.
like, I mean, it's an interesting question. Who's the most intelligent man in Westeros? Or not Westeros,
Ah,
Worlds? Because I mean, this guy, he's clear, he's a Superman, right? Literally, physically, intellectually.
mm-hmm.
But that's the posit for Khan. That he's some kind of genetically engineered or enhanced guy who's
Right. I mean, smartest man, I mean, smartest people in Westeros I can think of is it's Varys, Littlefinger, and Tywin. But
maybe he's Tywin because Tywin really does think he's better than everyone.
actually, I was gonna save Tywin for Admiral Robocop.
Yeah. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, Admiral Robocop is that Tywin in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, that's so totally true. That's so totally true. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, marry one night or snakes and scorpions with Marcus, Admiral Marcus.
He's
I
kind
mean.
of fit in an older man kind of way, but he's also slightly unhinged. So I think one night.
Yeah, I mean, at the start of it, he kind of seemed like a cool guy. I mean, like the dialogue his dialogue was, "Hey, so Chris Pine recruited you to Starfleet, and who do you think recruited Chris Pine to Starfleet? It was him." So he came out as a very cool guy, Yeah, can see that. But then his warmongering is definitely a turn off. So yeah, scorpions on me.
Yeah, but for good reason. I mean, he fundament, and I often wonder this about people like Cheney and whatnot. I think he fundamentally believes he's doing
Ah,
it to save the human race, right? Like he's not
that's
doing it for
true.
bad reasons.
That's very true. Yeah, he's a very Jamie character.
Like in
Uh,
his mind,
mm,
he thinks he's awesome, and he's doing.
Definitely, it's we always think how I mean, yeah, we never clearly saw the Klingon Federation war, right? It kind of took place after the Next Generation, but before the original series. Sorry, I mean, it took place between the original series and the Next Generation, right? The Federation Klingon war.
So this guy's battle scarred. He's world weary.
Yeah. So
You
we
know.
never really saw how Federation actually won, and so probably we needed somebody like him to win. So
Yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about. You gotta roll the hard six sometimes, BSG fans.
okay, so let's bring in Uhura. So marry one night or Scorpions.
The thing is, right, even if I was all about the women, probably one night because she's so insipid. There's nothing else there. She exists in this franchise basically to moon over Spock. She can't do anything. So
Yeah,
at some future
yeah.
point when I see her kicking some ass or like displaying some native intelligence, then maybe we might consider marriage in, one of the territories where that's legal. But no, one
Yeah,
night.
I do prefer Uhura in the movies than in the original series. In the original series, she was kind of like a secretary, but that's the time they were in, right? I mean, that's the 70s. So, but Uhura in this one, like, she can speak Klingon. She's like an expert in this and that. So she's definitely impressive. Definitely a
But do you
long-term
see her
thing.
doing anything though? Like what's her agency? I mean, it's all well like saying she can speak all these languages and whatnot, and she went to school, excellent. But what does she do? Like, if you took Uhura out of this plot, what change would
The
happen?
entire Klingon fight scene had no point at all, right? They could have just skipped that entire scene, and the movie wouldn't have been any different.
If you took every woman out of this movie, would it make any difference?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I've seen an article. Somebody was pointing out, hey, what if in The Hobbit, not in The Hobbit, what if in Lord of the Rings, Frodo was a girl? That would have made the Frodo and Samwell thing a lot more interesting.
Hey, you read the slash fiction, it's plenty interesting.
Yeah, now that they made Robin a girl in the new Batman comics, that's been applied to everywhere now. Hey, what if this character was a chick instead?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Lord of the Rings, whether they're men or women, to me is pretty sexless. I mean, and I love Lord of the Rings, I really do, but I just think it's just operating in a totally different, nice, good old fashioned Oxford English repressed sexuality environment, which is cool. But yeah.
Yeah, and I can't really think of what character she resembles from Game of Thrones because she's such a generic. Yeah, I can't think of who I can compare her to.
She's just, yeah, to me, she's just so bland. And the one thing you can say about Game of Thrones is that, or A Song of Ice and Fire, I mean, this is a book with I don't know how many characters are in it now, but you can genuinely say that none of them are bland or banal. Everyone's,
Exactly, yeah,
which
yeah.
is just such an achievement. Everyone's quirky, and even when they're passive and sort of, as accusations of Sansa in the opening parts of the work, that's interesting of itself because it's something to be provocative and to be a choice. So yeah, but I have hopes for her as we maybe go to the next film because she's a great actress.
Definitely, yeah.
And she's beautiful. And I think the criticism that's been leveled at J.J. Abrams and Lindelof for how they treated women in this movie, I think will provoke them maybe to do something a little bit more, forceful in the next one.
Yeah, well, I don't really I'm not really angry at them because it's mainly a Kirk and a Spock film, right? I mean, what did Sulu do? What did Chekhov do? At least Scotty had something to do. It was funny
I mean,
at
it's really
times.
in this film.
So and Bones had like 5 dialogues, and it all started with, "Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a slash insert something here."
Yeah, it's
So,
true. It's a two-hander.
it's no different from them. At least Uhura was in that fight scene that took place on Kronos, so that had something.
Yeah, this is true. I'm sure.
Okay. Okay, let's see Scotty marry one night of Scorpions.
No, man. Sorry, Scotty. But he's like a techno geek. He's not particularly. He's like the guy in IT that you have to like hang out with when you need to get a new BlackBerry and whatnot. And
So, so,
immediately just
so
forget
who's
about it.
the midget alien thing that he hangs out with? What's it? Is this like his twin brother, or is this his
What is
boyfriend
going?
or girlfriend? He always follows around with that thing.
I mean, there's definitely a homoerotic subtext going on there, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, he quits Enterprise, and then the alien thing also follows him. It's like, what's going on here?
I don't know. I mean, does that kind of weird ass alien thing exist in anything else in Star Trek, or is that just like something new,
It's
all
just
new?
so odd. I mean, they're just trying to add humor to the thing, but it's so.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, poor Simon Pegg having to act against a kind of random. I mean, I find it funny. I mean, I think it's just there's something about trying to have a kind of Chewbacca R2D2 style kind of character in there that's just so blatantly trying to kind of rip off that kind of a chemistry that is almost desperate. I mean, it's,
Okay. He's the Wookiee to Han Solo. Okay, okay.
yeah, except that you wouldn't be worried about him ripping your arm off. I
Yeah.
just don't understand what that's about.
Oh, I see. Okay. So just basically say, hey, let's give this guy a Wookiee. Oh, we can't have Wookiee because we don't have copyright for that. Okay, let's give them an Ewok.
Yeah, but like Ewoks were at least like, I don't know. I can go on now for half an hour about the problem with Ewoks, but we won't do that. 'Cause you'll just have to edit it out anyway.
Okay, let's see. Okay, Sulu then.
Was
Marry One Night or
this-
Scorpions.
Was he even in this film?
Oh yeah, Sulu was he took over the command for a brief time, and he was the one who gave that warning to, if you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
surrender, I'm gonna fire the thing at you.
Wow, it just shows how charismatic that guy was because I thought he'd gone to White Castle for the whole movie. And he actually has a big role, doesn't he, in retrospect? When you think about it, he took command. Yeah, no, total non-entity, banal, boring.
You know,
No.
I was thinking about it. What's worse, having an Indian guy being replaced by an English guy, or having a Japanese guy replaced by a Korean guy?
Yeah, because those two nations get on well.
Yeah. I feel we got a lot better.
Yeah, exactly. The deal was good. Yeah, no.
No, and I can't really think of a way to put him on the Game of Thrones too. It's just a generic guy.
He's a minor house. He's definitely a bannerman. All these guys are bannermen, right? I mean, they're not mage guys. He's a follower. He's a follower, not a leader. He's
Yeah.
just some very vassal kind of loyal, not doing much.
Doesn't it say something? Because I think both of us haven't watched the original series, and apart from picking up on Kirk's and Spock's personalities, we haven't been able to pick up any of these other guys' personalities at all, right?
Yeah, but I kind of feel that I know enough of the original series that I would say Bones was definitely more important than he is in these movies. And Bones
Okay.
was definitely not as much of a minor supporting character as, say, Chekhov and Sulu, who were evidently just there for political correctness reasons.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So let's see. Did we do Bones? We didn't do Bones, right?
Yeah, no, I'd have One Night with Bones.
He's just so grumpy, right? I don't know whether
Well,
you would like it or not.
My condition for having One Night with Bones is he would have to come in dressed like not a Dothraki warlord. What are the horse lords in Lord of the Rings?
Nazgul.
Yeah, no, he's a Rohirrim. He needs to come in
Oh,
in
I
his
see.
Rohirrim outfit from Lord of the Rings, and then it's on.
Wait,
But
is
it's
he the same guy from Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Oh no,
The long flowing blonde hair and the Rohirrim
that's
hat.
true. Okay,
Yeah,
and he was also in the recent Judge Dredd movie, right?
yeah, but I'm choosing to forget that.
Oh no, it's the same guy. Oh, I can't believe I did not make him out because he looked familiar. I couldn't where did I see this guy from? Oh
Yeah,
my.
he's like a totally badass, like horse lord, and he's
Yeah.
like to his sister, you can't fight because you're just a little woman, and then she goes off and kills the Nazgul and blah blah blah. But
Oh my.
yeah, he's awesome, and then he like shows up in this as some really goofy kind of semi-alcoholic.
Basically no role at all. The basic 5 dialogues that cut paste here and go. And
Yeah.
oh no, I feel bad for him now.
So many of those Lord of the Rings actors just like never acted again. So I think he's probably happy to be in a franchise movie.
Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
best.
Bones, what house would you put him in?
He's kind of funny. I mean,
Yeah.
he's kind of goofy and funny.
Yeah.
So he could be kind of like, I mean, I could see him in the Brotherhood without banners.
Ah, okay. I was thinking along the same lines. I was thinking, if I was in the Night's Watch, I would like to have somebody like him around.
Yeah, just like laugh.
Oh, yeah, let's make him a Meister. He's perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
he's a Meister then. Yeah, let's. He can be. Oh, yeah, he's Meister Lewin complaining all the time, pointing out your errors.
Yeah, but Lewin was kind of a bit wiser, I feel,
Oh,
than Bones.
yeah, that's
And a
true.
bit less funny.
That's true. Yeah. Okay.
He could be like Hot Pie, kind of like the goofy, lovable guy that doesn't do much, but you'd kind of be sad if he weren't around.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay. We did Scotty. Chekhov then. Marry One Night of Scorpions.
Yeah, but he looks about 12, dude.
Okay, let's not even go there then.
We need to age up the characters. That's what we need to do. He's a good actor, so
Yeah.
I give him respect, and I think it actually is really nice how in this movie he's a very minor character, but he plays a big role in the final scene, and that's nice how he kind of comes back to be important. But yeah, the guy looks. I mean, does he shave? He's
Yeah,
like
I'm thinking he's like
he's not around, and when he's around, he's kind of irrelevant and young.
yeah, he's kind of like a Samwell character or something.
Nah, Sam slays stuff, you know. I think we need to give Sam some respect.
Yeah, I just feel all these actors, we found out more about them in the first movie than in this movie. I think it's just because of Khan, like all that extra time was spent on him, which was needed
I
to.
mean, not to mention the valuable, 90 seconds spent showing that chick in a bikini, which could have been usefully used for
Hey,
character.
at least it's not Theon torture scene for like 10 episodes in a
Exactly.
row.
Classic Game of Thrones. Oh man, that 90 seconds they gave to Theon. We could have had some more San. I don't know.
Okay, this movie, I mean, I felt like a lot of things could have been shaved off and I wouldn't have missed it. Particularly the last 10 minutes of the fight scene between Spock and Khan. I felt like that entire thing was 10 minutes too much. What do you
I
think
didn't
about it?
understand that. Yeah, that final scene back on Earth when the ship crashes.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah, it's like Spock says, "Hey, capture him," and then Chekhov says, "Oh, I cannot beam him up, but I can beam you down." And I was like, "Come on, this guy was able to beam himself from Earth to Kronos, and you can't really beam this guy from the street 30 meters away."
Yeah, that did get a little bit Michael Bay. It's true.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
not like Pearl Harbor bad. But it wasn't a long film, right? I mean, it wasn't massively.
It was 1 hour 15 minutes long. It wasn't like the film was coming up too short. They could have shaved away the 10 minutes, and I wouldn't have minded at all.
Yeah, just take out the women.
Yeah. Okay. Admiral Pike. Marry One Night of Scorpions and the House.
Oh, he's awesome. He's lovely. Marry. He's so sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we should have a new category: people that you would want to be your dad. He's so sweet. He's so lovely. He'd always be wise and forgiving and like nurturing, and
Yeah.
he's like the dad that doesn't exist anywhere in A Song of Ice and Fire, isn't he? Like there are no lovely, kindly dads.
He's the exact opposite of Randall Tartley.
Yes.
Oh no, he's made Jorah Mormont to Kirk's Jon Snow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, he's
yeah.
lovely. Make dad. That's my new character.
Yeah, let's make him dad.
But
Okay. I think that's about all the major characters, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's everyone.
That's everyone. We didn't skip anybody.
There's some aliens on Mordor, but that's it. We've covered everybody.
Okay, so before we end, what other summer movie or just movie coming out this year that you are really keen on seeing?
What am I keen on seeing? I mean, I'm not a big Superman fan, but I think it's a franchise that they've failed to reboot successfully. So I'm kind of interested to see this. And I rather like Henry Cavill, who's playing Superman. So I think that's going to be interesting.
Did you watch Tudors too?
Yes, I did. But he's a guy who's famous in England for doing stuff other than that. Whereas Tudors wasn't on our basic TV, so we know him for like completely different stuff than you guys. What else am I looking forward to? You see, I'm not really a big summer blockbuster kind of a girl. I'm more a sort of indie movie. So I kick back into gear in like September when the Oscar bait movies start getting shown. And then we have, London Film Festival in October, and that's like huge for us. So yeah, just hanging on for that, I think, really.
Okay. Yeah, as you said, so I'm going to see all of them. I'm going to see Strike, and actually, I'm going to go see After Earth later today. Then definitely Superman, of course. But the two movies I'm really like keen on seeing, no matter what, are Pacific Rim, and then Ender's Game that's gonna come out in December. Those are the two movies I'm like must watch. They are gonna be awesome and all.
So are you going to go see World War Z?
Oh yeah, World War Z too. But
That,
just so
like you hope.
many post-apocalyptic films out this year. Just not too keen on it. But yeah, I'm gonna go watch it. It
Yeah,
really looks good.
yeah, and that's my theory about Star Trek, that all movies that are sci-fi tend to posit a world that's like really messed up, and Star Trek gives us a world fundamentally where stuff works out, and
Yeah.
there's something to be said for that, I think.
One of the gripes I have with this guy is, I shouldn't have to turn my brain off to watch a Star Trek movie. I mean, I didn't have to completely turn my brain off for Oblivion, it has plot holes, but nothing too big. And I wish Oblivion was a Star Trek movie.
But there must be some Avengers Universe movie coming out this summer, right? Or is it? Or is there another one like a
Captain America, Thor
No,
2,
Wolverine's
but
coming
I'm
out,
not.
right?
Yeah.
The Wolverine movie's coming out as well.
Oh,
so-
right, Wolverine movie. That looks really good too. Wolverine goes
Yeah.
to Japan.
Exactly. Awesome. Can't get better than that. No, the movie I was really looking forward to for a long time was Gatsby, which came out obviously. So that was my big thrill.
Oh yeah, how was that? Because the reviews for it on Rotten Tomato are like 50-50 or something. Is it worth watching?
I mean, the thing is, right? The
Mhm.
weird thing about Gatsby is that it's a movie that is so faithful to the text. Like you can watch it and then go read the book, which
Okay.
I did, and like
Okay.
almost every line from the book is in it, and yet it somehow seems to completely miss the point. And I'm not, and I'm not entirely sure how you managed to do both. It's amazing. It's actually a feat of, I'm not sure. And I feel bad for Leonardo DiCaprio because I feel he gives a performance that
Uh-huh.
is so wonderful and so nuanced and so perfect that if it were situated in a quieter movie,
Mm-hmm.
it would be genuinely being spoken of as a contender for Oscars. But as it is, you can't hear it above the Jay-Z. So
Oh, I see. I am not really familiar with the story, and
oh, so go read it. Go
yeah.
download it because it's out of copyright. You can download it for free. You can read it in an hour and a half. That's your
Okay.
homework.
Oh,
We'll
I
have
see. Okay.
quiz. We'll have a pop quiz on the next podcast.
Yeah, I got a free ticket for a movie to watch, so I probably will do Great Gatsby now that I know that Amitabh Bachchan is in it. So how can I
Yeah,
not?
he is awesome as well, and he speaks like for a Bollywood actor. When you see him do interviews in English, he has a very Indian accent, but he does this kind of southern US accent that's really convincing. So he must
Oh,
have amazing dialogue. He's
you
so
must
good.
have had coaches and stuff
Yeah, but he's
learn it.
awesome.
Excellent, excellent. Wow, this was a great podcast. I mean, you were really good. Thank you for coming on and doing this.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you
you.
for organizing it, dude.
Do you have anything you want to shout out, plug your Twitter or Tumblr or something?
No, it's all good. I mean, you can find me on Facebook with the London meetup for the podcast, which will be fun. And I mean, I do various other stuff movie related. If you Google Bean a 007, you're going to find it. But yeah, it's not that relevant.
Excellent. And okay, that's it for this week. You guys have a good one, and I think I'll leave you guys with a clip of the Star Trek soundtrack. Sorry. Okay, you guys have a good one. Bye.
show.
Okay, cool. I'll chop it up and clean it up a bit before I publish. But you were really wonderful, Beena. I mean, you were meant to be a podcast host.
No, I'm just British, and it's the end of the day.
No, you were awesome. You were really good.
Cool.
I
I
think
mean,
this
I think
is
these
gonna
things
come
work
out
better
well.
with the three people in a way because there's more. I mean, it's good. What I was worried about is when we both had the same rating, I thought, oh God, we're gonna have nothing because it would be like, I think this, yes, I think that too. But luckily, there was enough. We came at it from different enough angles and cared about
hmm
different stuff that it kept going. So that's
Right.
cool.
I mean, I wanted to like this movie a lot. Even before this movie came out, I was like, hey, let's do a podcast on this. It's a Star Trek movie. How can it not
Yeah,
be
I was
good?
shocked actually when he said, "Let's
Uh,
do it." And you were like, "Right, I need to go see it." I was like, "What you want?" And you haven't even. How do you know you can have anything to say?
exactly. I just J.J. Abrams Star Trek. They're not gonna let me down. And I was good for the most part. The remake thing bothered me a lot. Like, I mean, you guys are such talented people. You could have done anything. You could have brought in the Borg. You could have invented a whole new race. Would have been fine. And that was the only thing that bothered me for the most part. And then I did the research, and I was like, oh my god. The plot doesn't make any sense at all.
But does it bother you, like, similarly, when you watch, like, Spider-Man and stuff, does it bother you that they have the same villains being brought into that?
Mm. Well, I'm
Or is it just
not
because
never
you like
been.
Star Trek, so you want...
Well, at least when like they. Okay. Well, like for example, like Batman and Joker. You mean like would I call
Yeah,
Christian
yeah.
Nolan's Batman a remake of crap? I forgot the original
Tim
actor's.
Burton. Was it Tim Burton who did that one?
Uh,
But yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, well, because I kind of like Christian Nolan's Batman better. That did not bother me, and that guy did a wonderful job of being a Joker. So, um, yeah,
So if you could, if basically, if like, celluloid was burning up and wasn't preserved and you could only keep one of the Wrath of Khans, which one would you keep?
obviously I would only keep the first one. This one will, yeah, yeah. How about you? Which one would you keep?
Yeah, you see, that's the thing. Like, I think I probably watched the first one maybe like 20 years ago. And I can still watch it. Like, if it was coming on TV now and I wasn't about to go out, I could
Uh-huh.
watch it and really enjoy it. And I really seriously wonder whether in 20 years' time people will be watching this Star Trek movie.
It does hold up well, and I watched it recently. Actually, I watched it a few days before I went and saw the movie, and there are like so many elements in the movie. I mean, like the entire submarine battle kind of style. Like they go into a nebula, and none of the sensors are working, so they're like playing hide and seek. They come up and do it, and then Spock goes into the warp room to save the ship. That's like the plot of every submarine movie that's ever come out.
And it's really
Like
tense. It's really
UK 571, Red October, all of these submarine movies are some ways have the template from Wrath of Khan. So it kind of like set a standard. So that's why I think that movie is special.
Yeah, and Ricardo Montalban's boss. He like played Zorro. Like anyone who plays Zorro is obviously awesome.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like he's one of the many people who's played Zorro,
Mhm.
which I love. But that's cool. Okay, well, whenever you do another movie podcast, let me know because
Definitely,
that
yeah,
movie.
definitely we'll do something sooner than the June 17, sorry, July 17 Dance with Dragon podcast. I'm so glad
Oh,
you're on it.
I have
So
to
it's
write
gonna be
it.
really fun.
But have people taken the other chapters yet? Because like there's
Yeah,
big characters still free, like Jon Snow and I think Tyrion and
yeah. I think I took so I had 14 initially, and I kind of saw like I had the least workload, so I went ahead and picked Danny up too. But I can't really pick up another big chapter, another big character.
yeah, we need someone else to
Yeah, I
pick
think
up.
of the six of us, only Nick Snow hasn't picked any yet, but obviously he can't pick up a bunch of them. So
Well, maybe we can PM
yeah,
him or something. I mean, it
yeah,
doesn't matter if little one chapter peeps
mm,
are wonderful, but you can't have like a major POV. Or,
yeah, yeah.
but it's just
Well,
on everyone else a bit more, I think.
I'd pick Danny up, and I am gonna go with the joke. Oh, Danny went to Marine and had a period. That's gonna be my summary.
But that is basically what happens.
The Mimi joke was pretty cool. So we can do the same for Jon Snow too. Jon Snow went to the wall and had his period. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what would Dance of Dragon mean if you just didn't have the female characters? Just take Danny. It would have been like a quarter of the length.
I wanted to ask, you had the first dibs on everything. You had like all the characters to
I
pick from.
jumped in, man. I
And and
jumped in. I
and
was
you
like,
picked the
all over.
Lannisters, Cersei Lannister of all. Why the Lannisters, especially Cersei?
I find, I have to say, like, they're not my, obviously everyone loves Tyrion and blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
I think Cersei Lannister and Sansa Stark to me are absolutely fascinating because I think they're very real, unflattering, but very realistic portrayals of people who are trying to exercise power in a man's world and get it horribly wrong. I mean, Cersei gets it horribly wrong. But actually, I have a great deal of sympathy for her because I think she's fighting against great constraints and she's less clever than she thinks she is. And I find these two books, they have a lot of criticism, but I actually really love them because I think if you read Cersei and Jaime, it's about two people falling out of love with each other and coming to Cersei losing a grip of what she is and what she wants and how to get it. And Jaime in reverse. They have this like amazing crossover. So I think doing them both together is really fascinating.
Interesting.
I think
Yeah.
Jaime kind of character arc is just amazing in these novels. He's one of my favorite characters. But so I see Cersei every day. I really do. In a slightly less psychotic version.
That's very interesting. Cersei definitely. I mean, I've always thought of her like a gangster person, but this is very true. She's not a cartoon. Definitely, she is more complex and more than that. And yeah, these two books, the more times I go back to them, the better I like them. Like I just finished. I just finished the Brian chapter, the first Brian chapter from Feast of Crows, and I actually liked it. She was just around. She was being escorted by a bunch of knights, and it's all small talk. And but that was a really good chapter. So
Yeah, I mean that's the
yeah.
thing. I mean, I think that in a way you've got to accept these two books as giving us back. They're basically the world of Ice and Fire, aren't they? They're just giving
Hmm.
us a story. And I think the more I read Duncan Egg and realize that the Blackfire Rebellion's relevant, and the more richness that you get to your own understanding of that world, the more you realize how good these two books are. I mean, I love Feast for Crows. I think it's an amazing book. I think the funeral of Tywin, the reactions to Cersei, the way Kevin Lannister starts getting all political. I just think it's brilliantly done.
Yeah, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, throughout Feast of Crows, I would say Jamie's chapters are the ones I like the best, and yeah.
My God.
Okay.
So if I hadn't picked those two, would you have picked Jamie? Maybe.
Okay. Um, yeah, probably I would have picked Jamie. Now that I think about it, yeah, I consider Jamie's
You
stuff
snooze,
to be
you
the best in the book. I found Jon Snow boring, I found Danny boring, so definitely would have picked Jamie.
lose.
That's why I picked
It's just
Victorian too, because stuff happens in his thing. He's doing stuff. John Cunnington. Yeah, I picked the ones there where there's some action happening.
yeah, exactly. Cool. Okay, well, have a great rest of the day. And
Excellent, Vinod. Thank you so much. Yeah.
no worries. Good luck with the editing, mate. Bye.
Okay, have a good one. Bye.